I'm Angela Scappatura from Canadian HR Reporter TV. Les Dakens is the former Vice President of People for CN Rail. He's also the author of Switch Points, a book about how a company can change its corporate culture to improve overall performance. He's here to speak with us about how organizations can benefit from solid corporate culture. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here.
Why is it important to create a company culture?
If you don't go about creating it, you will have a company culture. You may not like it, but whatever happens in a company in terms of what people do, what's expected of them, how they're recognized or punished for it, those are all examples of what ultimately a culture is about. It's what's expected of me as an employee, and do I get rewarded for doing the right things, or do I get encouraged to do the wrong things? And so as leaders, we have to first and foremost ensure that we have clearly defined expectations, but then reward the hell out of people in terms of recognizing them, ensuring that they are noticed when they do the right things properly, confront them when they aren't. But 90%, generally speaking, 90% of employees want to do a good job. The key thing for a leader is to make sure they know what's expected. And once those 90% of those employees are doing the right things, then it's a pleasurable task to be a leader, because what you should be doing is recognizing and rewarding that behavior every day.
What should company leaders consider when developing a corporate culture?
I think the first thing, in fact, the co-authors and I of this book have at times said if we could change the title, we would make it Performance Change. Because when you talk about culture change, people get all sort of warm and fuzzy about what's that mean, and quite often culture change is tied to what human resources people like to do every day, which is change things, create programs. But the most important thing a company can do if they are considering changing the culture is tie it to the performance that you're looking for. Whatever industry you're in, you've got certain metrics, and if you say, I want to improve my performance, then everything flows from that. So you're going to change your culture. The purpose for changing the culture is to improve something. And hopefully what you're ultimately trying to do when you change a culture is to improve the overall performance, because there's a direct cause and effect. If you want performance to get better, you got to change the way you're doing business. And typically that, first and foremost, starts with leadership. So the best advice I can give to companies if they're trying to change the culture is start with your leadership team. Those are the people that provide the direction, provide the recognition to employees, and if they don't understand how to do that, that's the first step. And from that, employees will follow, especially if they are working for people that do care about what the employees do and recognize them every day. It's a much better culture when you've got the supervisor and the employee on the same page and having fun doing it along the way.
In your book, you describe how a change in culture at CN Rail contributed to an improvement in the company's success. Tell me about some of the changes you made and how it affected business.
The first thing I should say is that CN was already the best in the industry. They were the #1 railroad in North America. But the CEO at the time, who had just taken over the role, recognized that there was still opportunities for us to get better. And the key change that we implemented to make this happen was engaging our employees. And the way we did that was to actually change our leadership style. Railroads traditionally have had a command and control style, which works when you're running big equipment. It's very dangerous, etc. But it's not the kind of style that actually engages people to feel part of the process. So for us, we recognize that the 18,000 unionized employees that we had really were very proud of the company, but didn't feel they were contributing day in and day out as much as they could have. And so what we did was to actually change our leadership style to the point where people felt that they could make suggestions, get feedback from their supervisors, and really feel part of running the company. And the best example I can give you in terms of how I think employees today feel about the way things are run at CN is that when we first started this process, we had about 35% of our employees participating in an employee share purchase plan. Today, that's over 70%. So I think people really feel more engaged, and ultimately they feel that they can put their money into a company that they're very proud of.